We studied personal pronouns some time ago, but personal pronouns are not the only kind of pronoun. We're going to study now demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrative pronouns point things out, and we're primarily looking at the words that would be translated this and that in English. Houtos is a word translated this in the singular or these in the plural, and ἐκεῖνος or ἐκεῖνος is translated that in the singular or those in the plural. So in terms of understanding these forms, that's fairly straightforward. In older forms of Greek, the difference between these demonstrative pronouns was understood to be one of proximity versus remoteness. This is closer than that, but that distinction shouldn't be pressed too firmly in the New Testament. So let's look at the forms. First, houtos. This is an interesting form, but we can predict it once we understand what's happening. First, we have houtos. In the nominative forms for the masculine, the singular and plural nominatives have no tau or tav. Instead, hu with the rough breathing, houtos. But all the other forms have tau or tav, tutu, tuto, tuton, etc. The endings we have seen before as well. These endings are fairly predictable if you simply take the nominative masculine form of logos, our basic word for learning the second declension noun forms, masculine. We'll see a sigma at the end, then logu, logo, logon, logoi or logi, logon, logois or logis, and logus. Those endings are very predictable. So let's go through these forms. The nominative masculine form singular of houtos is houtos. The genitive singular, tu, tu. The dative singular, tuto. Accusative, tuton. The nominative plural form, houtoi or houti. The genitive plural, tuton. The dative, tutois or tutis. And then the accusative, tutus. Fairly easy to learn, as I say, if you understand the pattern. Now we come to the feminine forms for houtos, and these look a little different. The hu, the omicron upsilon form, becomes alpha upsilon or alpha ipsilon. And again, just with the masculine form, there is no tau or tav in the nominative singular and nominative plural forms, but all the other forms have it. So for the feminine forms, I'll go through with the Erasmian pronunciation first and then go through again with the modern pronunciation. So first, the nominative singular feminine of houtos. Haute, tautes, taute, tauten, hautai, tuton, tautais, tautas. Now the modern pronunciation. Hafti, taftis, tafti, taftin, halte, tuton, taftes, taftas. Now, one other thing to note. The endings are the same as graphe or graphie, that standard feminine noun to model the first declension nouns. No surprises there. However, what we do see is this form, tuton, the genitive plural, has switched back to an omicron instead of an alpha, just like the masculine form. The rule for this seems to be that whenever an ending has an O sound, like this tone, own ending, then the stem will switch out the alpha for an omicron. So instead of tau-tan or tuftin, we have two-tone. So watch out for that. That's a little trap for young players right there. Now we come to the neuter forms for houtos. The first thing to note is the tau or the tav is present in all the forms, including the nominative singular and plural forms, which do not have the tau or the tav in the masculine and feminine forms. So they're consistent all the way through. The endings are derived from our standard word for the neuter second declension formation, ergon, with the exception that the nominative singular and accusative singular forms have dropped the nu or the ni. So whereas it's ergon, ergu, ergo, ergon, this is tuta, tutu, etc. One other thing to note is when there is an alpha in the ending, the u sound switches the omicron for an alpha. This is kind of like the reverse of the rule that we saw in the feminine. When there is an o sound in the ending, the stem switches out the alpha for the omicron. So here we see the flip of that. An alpha in the ending inserts an alpha in the stem instead of the omicron. With that said, let's look through them. The nominative singular form for the neuter of hutos is tuto, then tutu, tuto, tuto, tauta or tavta, tuton, tutois or tutis, and tauta or tavta. So these are the forms for the demonstrative pronoun hutos, meaning this or these. They are not too difficult to learn, but you do need to watch out for a couple of irregularities. Now we come to the demonstrative pronoun ἐκεῖνος or ἐκεῖνος. Remember that that means that or those. And these forms are a little more straightforward. Ἐκεῖνος, the endings follow, in the masculine, they follow logos perfectly. Logos, logu, logo, logon, etc. The feminine forms follow graphere or graphie. Graphere, graphes, graphere, etc. And the neuter forms follow ergon, except, again, the nu or the ni is missing in the nominative singular and accusative singular. So let's look at these forms. First, the masculine. ἐκεῖνος, by the way, I'll go through with the Erasmian pronunciation first. ἐκεῖνος, ἐκεῖνου, ἐκεῖνο, ἐκεῖνον, ἐκεῖνoi, ἐκεῖνον, ἐκεῖνοis, ἐκεῖνους. Now with the modern pronunciation, ἐκεῖνος, ἐκεῖνο, ἐκεῖνο, ἐκεῖνον, ἐκεῖνη, ἐκεῖνον, ἐκεῖνης, ἐκεῖνους. Now the feminine forms using the Erasmian pronunciation. ἐκεῖνε, ἐκεῖνες, ἐκεῖνε, ἐκεῖνεν, ἐκεῖνai, ἐκεῖνον, ἐκεῖνais, ἐκεῖνας. Now with the modern pronunciation. ἐκεῖνη, ἐκεῖνης, ἐκεῖνη, ἐκεῖνην, ἐκεῖνε, ἐκεῖνον, ἐκεῖνες, ἐκεῖνας. Now the neuter forms using the Erasmian pronunciation. ἐκεῖνο, ἐκεῖνου, ἐκεῖνο, ἐκεῖνο, ἐκεῖνα, ἐκεῖνον, ἐκεῖνοis, ἐκεῖνα. With the modern pronunciation, ἐκεῖνο, ἐκεῖνου, ἐκεῖνο, ἐκεῖνο, ἐκεῖνα, ἐκεῖνον, ἐκεῖνης, ἐκεῖνα. So that rounds out our learning of these two demonstrative pronouns, hutos and ἐκεῖνος, very common words in the New Testament and very important pronouns.